Well, right now I'm working in the ISBS, that's the International School of Buddhist Studies. It was founded by Chogyawada, and I think I'm the first Korean to be here as a Dharma teacher, right? I should make it good, right? I have looked through the previous Dharma talks, recorded ones, and found out that most of the Dharma teachers were talking about the meditation and basic principles. So today, perhaps I could aid you, help you with the daily practice, how you do it. And before I go into the detail, I'd like to know how many of you are practicing regularly every day. Now raise your hand. Okay, good. So you are doing the meditation. Okay, good. And what about you here? Nobody had raised. Okay, you too? What about you? You do too. Okay. So I assume that you all are interested in meditation and practicing it, right? Okay, so now, you know, most of the meditators, they think they can only do meditation on the cushion. And I did too in the beginning. But I found out that it doesn't help me. If it doesn't help me with the daily life, it's not my practice, isn't it? So I thought if any one of you can let me know that what your questions or dilemmas during your daily activities of incorporating your practice, I'd like to help you out with that. And also, if you are doing some other practice, I'd like to also know that I can perhaps help you with whatever the problems that you run into. Okay? So, why are you practicing meditation? Gentlemen, there? To wake up. Wake up from your sleepiness? Wake up from what? A delusion, okay. What's delusion? You don't know? So what's delusion?
To know our true self all the time. To know our true self?
To know our true self, okay. So that means, delusion means that we don't know our true self. Okay. Yeah, okay. That's a good answer. But then, what's true self? You know, you must know clearly your goal, why you are practicing meditation, right? So now you have to define what the delusion is, what the true self is, why do I have to do the practice, right? Otherwise, your practice is just a practice which doesn't help yourself, right? Now, what other practice do you do besides meditation? To realize the wisdom? To develop your wisdom? Okay. Oh, goodness. I don't know where to start now. Well, I'll ask you another question then. To be awake from the delusion, or to get rid of your delusion, why did you think of that you must get rid of the delusion? Why? Why? There should be good reason for it. Uh-oh. Yes, gentlemen.
Because it's so embarrassing and sometimes very painful.
Yeah, because of their pain, suffering, right? You know, most of people, they come to find their own religion when they are in great suffering. Most of them. And the suffering that really makes you to think, what is this? What is this life is, right? Why am I suffering and why am I in this state of suffering, right? So that really makes you to start look for the truth, the ultimate truth, or we say reality, right? That's right. So, Buddha had taught us that Four Noble Truths. And he said the first one of the Four Noble Truths is what? Yes, life is suffering, he said, right? So why is suffering is such a noble truth? Why? Uh-oh. I've already told you the answer. Because noble truth, suffering becomes a noble truth because it makes us to seek for the ultimate truth or the whatever who I am really, right? So that's why suffering becomes the noble truth. And suffering is suffering. Suffering is something that nobody likes. But it became the noble truth because it makes us to think of what the real truth is, what the true I are, But then there's no I. So how can I think of this? Huh? Buddha said there's no absolute entity in each one of it, or each one of everything, right? There's no such fixed entity in anything. So he says no self. And yet, your start is from the who I am, I. Your start comes from the I. You start from the I, who I am. Why am I suffering? Why am I in this life and facing all these difficulties and meeting all these difficult people? Of course, there are beautiful people that you encounter and have a relationship with, but then also there are, on the other hand, you face many difficulties, right? So actually these sufferings that makes you to go on in search of the truth. And that's what Buddha had did too. He has started to seek for, can I not die in any way, right? And when his father asked him, begged him actually, not to leave the kingdom, Buddha had said, if you let me know the way that I will never die, then I'll stay. So his father couldn't, get him. So he couldn't make the Buddha stay at home. So Buddha's first start was, is there a way that I live forever, that I don't die? So to him, death became the very suffering to him. So he went out to find the way not to die, to live forever. That was his start. And for many of us, because we are in a great suffering, now you begin to look for, what is this? Is life full of suffering, and is that life? Or who is suffering this? And who is thinking of this life is so suffering? Right? So this the first noble truth is the suffering. Then the Buddha had found out the suffering is something that comes from what? When you cut yourself, you have suffering, right? You have a pain there. But is that really suffering compared to other things? It's just a physical one, right? It's temporarily coming. And when it heals, the wound heals, the suffering disappears. So it automatically, the suffering goes away as time goes. But then, with the suffering that you have inside, perhaps yesterday I have attended one of the funeral of one dear friend of mine, and she lost her mother. She is in 60s, and her mother was 93 years old. And her mother was very healthy till 92. And she got weak for a year, and she's been in hospital for a couple of days. Then she passed away. So generally, if you think, a person had died of age 93, most of people would say, wow, she had a good life. She's lucky to live that long with a good health. But yet, the lady, the daughter, and the other siblings were grieving over their mother's death, and that is great suffering. Losing someone you love and losing someone who is very close to you is such a great suffering, isn't it? So this physical suffering can disappear as time goes, but your mind, the suffering in your mind, doesn't go away that easily. Of course, it takes time. Nothing lasts forever. Thank God, or thank Buddha, that nothing lasts forever. So we wish that suffering will go away, but still, your degree of suffering that you feel, it lasts quite a long time, especially when you lose the close one, right? So such is also suffering. Now, so with the full of suffering in this life, how can you get rid of this suffering? And where does this suffering comes from? Right? When there's a suffering, there must be cause of it. So you have to think, you have to look through what are the causes of your suffering that you are having right now. Right? So you look into. So what you should do is you look through your mind where this suffering comes from. Have any of you looked through before when you were in great suffering? You have. So that gentleman must have done a very good practice. So where did it come from then? Personal perception of self. So you're saying it's I. Where Buddha had said there's no I, no self, and yet you thought there was a self inside of you. Yes. And then what? Now it should be more concrete. When you analyze where these causes come from, you must be more concrete looking into it. So, of course, that is fundamental. That, thinking that you have a self, there's I. But then, before that, the suffering, the causes of suffering, if you look down deeply and see why you are having this suffering or dissatisfaction or grief, there's causes, right? Now you have to find the causes of the suffering so that you can get rid of them. If you cannot define what are the causes of the suffering, you can't get rid of the suffering, right? So this practice of meditation actually makes you to be more analytical and be more concrete in searching of the causes. Okay, So it's not just that, okay, because of the self that I have a notion, yeah, that's not good enough. That's very theoretical. But you must find out what the real causes are. For instance, for my friend, the lady who had just lost her mother, she's in great suffering. She's in grieving of her mother's death. And why is it? Why? Why is she suffering?
Because she is not satisfied with her condition.
Right. Right. She's not satisfied with her condition. That is, the condition is that there's no more mother there. Now, why is that condition so dissatisfactory? Why? Yes, because she is attached to her mother. She wants her mother to be right there with her, right? So it's her desire, her attachment to her mother. So that's the cause of her grieving and suffering, right?
Because only don't know mind.
Cause?
Because only don't know mind.
Because of only don't know mind. If you have don't know mind, you shouldn't have any suffering. If you don't know the mind, if you don't know mind, if you are in that state, you will no longer have suffering. Okay? So now I'm defining what the causes are. So for this lady, her condition is not satisfactory. And for those who are having the stress from the work or from the people around you or from the colleagues or from your family members, why are they not satisfied? Why is my daughter studying hard as I wish her to do? Why is my husband bringing more money to the house as I wish to do? Why am I not so pretty as the other can be, pleased to see me? All these reasons, there's desire, right? I want my husband to make more money. I want my children to study hard so that they can go into enter to the great schools that everybody's look up on. Whatever. It's all your expectations, all your desires, and all your dissatisfaction that brings you all the suffering. Now you know the causes of suffering. So how can you get rid of these things? Now we know the reasons. Stop
wanting things to be different.
Right. Stop wanting the things to be different from what it is. So that means we should accept the condition as it is. Now then, should I be just let my daughter just play around and not to study? No. Right? But then what should I do with these children? It must be a great issue to the mothers, right? Mothers want their children to study hard so that they can get a good grade. That's Korean mothers. But I'm sure it's the same with the American mothers too. And all the mothers' wishes, right? Their children to be successful in their scholastic field. And they want to be, successful in society after they finish their studying. I think it's the all common desire of mothers, that their children to be successful and be happy. But the problem is mothers think success is the happiness. Is success happiness?
Mother is.
To mother, it is. Okay. Mother's desires is boundless, I think. Endless. So our desires are endless, isn't it? Because we have such desires, endless desires, that we always suffer every moment. As long as you have desires, attachments, dissatisfaction, you will no longer have any happiness, but you will be in suffering. So as he said, if we should just accept the condition as it is, we'll have no suffering. That's right. But what do we do with these children? You know, they're supposed to study and not studying it. So how can we do with these? And what is the way that we can make this condition be satisfactory and not to suffer from it? Wow, this is we're going to have a good resolution for these mothers. Right, detach from the desire, but how? How? Just give it up, huh? But you know, I can find my desire physically that I cannot give it away. So how can I do it? If I just let my children just play and not study, am I a good mother? Just accepting the condition as it is?
Can we take action but not be too attached to the outcome?
Yes, of course. There should be some effort to make the condition where the children can study, yet you should detach from your desire. You know, just that all you have to do is just make the condition so that your children can come and study. But no more desire, right? So you do put some effort to change the condition so that you can get the results what you want, but yet your attachment to it, that is something you don't need to have, right? So you do it to your best to make your children to be more diligent studying, but yet you should not have any attachment to the condition, you know. So that means you put the right effort to make the atmosphere that your children wants to study. I think that's the limit that you should go. And if you go over it, that is you are adding your desire. So doesn't mean that you shouldn't do anything about the condition. Of course, you should do some effort to change the condition to the right condition, so that you can lead the way to the way you want it, yet you do not get the attachment to it, right? So you do your best to make your children to study and be studious, but the outcome is whatever she has or your children have put, if outcome comes out, what you should no longer, judge. So if your children come up with the grade C, now you know you should do something about it, right? But you shouldn't be angry or you shouldn't be worried. But what you should do is look for the best way, best condition to make your children to study hard. So, you should motivate your children that they want to study. They want to do, their study so that they can come up with a better grade. But what mothers usually do is if children come up with their grade C and D and they get real upset and, they always say study, study, study. And that really adds more stress to your children, right? So the right effort should be done, yet your desire should be left behind so that you do not get any suffering out of it, but you do put more effort to change the atmosphere or whatever the situation that your children wants to study, right? So defining the causes of your suffering that you are in at the moment is very important so that you can get rid of it exactly and know how to do it, okay? Now, so with the children, we can do that. And what about with my husband? He's not making much money. Huh? To me, he doesn't seem to know how to do the business. But what can I do? That's that's a good solution. Go out and earn money on your own. That's a good idea. And another? Change what? Oh, wow, that's the easy way out. Change your husband to a richer one. That's the easy way out. But that's not a solution, is it? Right? There's a condition. You must see the condition of your husband. If he's an employee of a company, you should not expect more than what he's receiving it, right? And you should not spend more than what he's earning. In such a way, you will not have suffering. Just know exactly where you are, how much he's earning. I should spend upon the income. You should be you should plan your expenses, how to spend your money. So, instead of expecting more money all the time from a person who cannot get more money than what he's paid, expecting more money is very foolish, isn't it? I mean, where can he get the money besides what he's receiving from the company? So if you want more money, yes, very good way, go out and get your own money, work for it. Or not to expect, just see the condition as it is, that my husband is earning this much of money, so I should plan my expenses within that range. By doing so, you will no longer have desire for more money. If you are spending more money than what you are getting, of course, you want more money because you have planned much expense than what you're getting it. So be reasonable. Be reasonable means know the condition as it is, right? So that's the way to get rid of your suffering from wanting more money from your husband, right? So it's something that desires and attachments, that's from you. It's not from the outside. It's all from yourself. You're wanting it. You want this way. You want that way. You want more. You want people to like you, people to respect you. If they don't, Well, you should look to yourself. Why people don't respect me? Why people are treating me like that? You know? So all the causes of the suffering are coming from yourself, not from outside. So the good news is, because it comes from yourself, we can fix it, right? So Buddha had said, now the suffering is a noble truth, and the second is what? The suffering, the causes of the suffering are from yourself, wanting more, getting attached, or being dissatisfactory. So we all now know the causes. Now then he said, there's a way to get rid of your suffering. And that is to define the causes. And then there is a way to stop suffering. So once you've defined the reasons, causes, now you should get rid of the causes, then your suffering stops, right? So our meditation practice started from who am I? The question from who am I? What am I doing here in this earth, in this planet? What am I doing? What am I doing with all these people? What am I doing within my family? Who am I? You know, the question comes from the suffering to look for the what I am really, and then now you try to go through to find out what the causes. Now you know the causes. And then there's a way to stop it. And how? We already have talked about it, right? That is not wanting more than what you have. Doesn't mean that you should stay in that state all the time. Just see the condition as it is, and if you want more, you should do the right action to change the condition. And if the outcome comes right, that's fine. You have done the right effort to change the condition, which yields the good results. If have not, you shouldn't be dissatisfied, but should look into the method of the procedures that you have done. Perhaps you haven't put right effort to change the condition so that you didn't get the right results, what you want, right? So the right effort required to change the condition, to improve, or to attain the better condition. But if you haven't attained the right results, you should look into the methods that you have used to create the better condition. So, you should not judge or have desire that, outcome didn't come out right as I have expected. Stop there. Now you know the outcome didn't reach my expectation. Well, that's fine. Stop right there. If you go further, what happened? Now you become, oh gosh, I'm so stupid. I haven't done right things to improve. So you are coming back to yourself and hating. Yeah? So that step you shouldn't go over. Stop at the analytical state that, okay, I have done this amount of effort and I have got this amount of results. That's it. If that result is not the one that I have expected, then what you should do is go look for the right method. No further judgment, you know. Gee, I'm so stupid. Your judgment should come to this far. Okay, I haven't done it right. But no further things, like I'm so stupid. Right? So, it's the cessation of the suffering comes by eliminating the causes, right? So, when you do the practices, and though your practice had started from the suffering, when you practice every day, and when you go through your daily life and see where your mind is, you know, how your mind moves. And if you just think that practice is just on the cushion, that's not a right practice. I mean, we can't just sit on the cushion for 24 hours, can we? No, we do work, we have family, we have, you know, colleagues, and we have counterparts with whom you have to respond, and you have to work with, and you have to, you know, make a good relationship with. So for us, for you, your practice should help your daily life rather than your practice limited on the cushion, right? So what do you do? Yes, you are a student. Okay, so as a student, what is the right practice? Yes, of course, yeah. As a student, students should be concentrating on their studying. That's all. But what if you're not focused? What do you do? Right, but you know, my question was, if you are not focused in your study, what do you do? Right. Do you have any way that you practice?
I just enjoy what I'm doing, so it's quite easy at the moment.
Wow, you're such a lucky one. You enjoy what you're doing. It's a lucky one.
I don't have any specific practice in that.
Ah, I see. Mm-hmm. Well, it seems you are doing very well. But for me, like, quite often I'm not quite focused what I'm doing. And I have, you know, other things on my mind. While I was supposed to prepare for my class, sometimes, you know, I get disturbed by the other thoughts and other things. And so in such case, what do you do? Are you always focused well? No? Take a break. That's a good idea. Yeah. Sometimes, you know, getting away from what you're doing, if you're not quite focused on, then take a break and then come back with a fresh air, fresh mind, right? What if you're not allowed to? You know, what if you don't have time to take a break, but you must focus on, I must finish this job within a couple of hours. What do you do? Yeah, good idea. We breathe every day. Without breathing, we are dead. Deep breath, taking a deep breath, that really helps, doesn't it? Yeah, that's true. And breathing practice is something that Buddha, Sakyamuni Buddha had taught, right? So one of the easy practices is breathing, watching over your breathing. So when you are not focused and you are very stressed and you're not quite clear with things, what you're doing, well, take a moment, doesn't take long, take a moment and have your breath deep and breathing out. You know, just count 1 to 10. That's good enough. So what if one is doing the Kongan? Anybody's practicing Kanwasan? Are you? What about you? Kanwasan? You have Hwadu? Oh, great. And you too? What do you do when you are not focused? What do you do during your daily life?
We realized that we are, our thoughts are getting strayed around.
Mm-hmm.
At that moment, we came back.
How?
Just we know that our mind is going out somewhere. And as the moment we realize that, we came back and sit on that way.
Right. So what you do is, if you're not focused and if you have much thoughts besides what you were supposed to do, for the Kanwasan practitioners, what they do is they always go back to the Hwadu. Okay. If your Hwadu is, what is it? Imoko? Then you go back. When you go back, you will realize that you automatically breathe in deeply and you breathe out very slowly. And if your breath becomes slow, your mind also slows down. And when you come back to your Hwadu, your all other thoughts are already gone, because our mind can only do one thing at a time. Good news, isn't it? Your mind can do one thing at a time. You can never do two things. Though you think you are doing something very simultaneously, your mind doesn't work that way. Mind can only focus one thing at a time. Just that your mind moves so fast that you think you are doing things simultaneously. But that's not so. Your mind is always at one thing at a time. So that means when you are doing things, multitask at one time, you are not doing the multitask at one time, but your mind moves that fast. So as if you feel that you are doing it at the same time, you know. So whatever you are not focused, whatever you are in, or whatever you are doing it, all you have to do is come back to whatever you have focus. For the Hwadu-san practitioners, you should come back to your Hwadu. For the breathing practitioners, you go back to your breathing, aware of your breathing in and out, right? And what else? If you are doing the mantra, you go back to mantra and do it once. Immediately, your mind calms down, and you will see your mind is very clear at that moment. So in order to maintain that moment a little longer, take a few more minutes and do the practice. Breathing in and out, or go back to your Hwadu and focus, or go back to your mantra and recite. Okay? So whatever your practices are, you should be able to utilize within your daily life, daily activities. And if you're not focused on whatever you are doing it, go back immediately to your practice. Doesn't matter whether you are on the cushion or you're off the cushion. Your practice should go on throughout the day. Yes, if you are focusing on writing something, you know, correspondence or writing an article or whatever the work that you're calculating, whatever. Yes, at that moment, you cannot be focused with your practice. But then, whatever you are doing it, you can focus, right? That is your practice too. Wherever you are, whatever you are doing, if you can put your mind to it, in other words, be mindful to whatever you are doing it, your practice is on. Okay? But whatever you are doing, wherever you are, if your mind is not clearly focused, if you are not mindful at that moment, you are not practicing any of whatever you are doing it. So, your daily life should be benefited from your practice. I suppose all of you are doing the practice in that manner, aren't you? Yeah? Are you all doing it? Wow, very good practitioner. We try. Yeah, it's not easy, isn't it? We seem to have a very good studious students. Yes, question?
Find that most of the time I forget. How can you remember?
Forget, yes. In the beginning, for the beginner, until you can realize whatever you are doing it, until you can get mindful throughout the day, what you need is a very intensive training. So take a couple of days or weekend or something that you go on to the intensive practice. You need to build up your power, okay? So for the beginner, long period of time on the cushion is quite helpful, okay? So when I worked in the society before I joined the monastic life, I usually use the weekends and the vacation period to go into the intensive practices. So that really helps, right? So go on, you know, short retreat, weekend retreat, or a couple of days. If you can have longer period, that's fine. Will be better. But whatever is allowed, you know, take that opportunity to deepen your practice. So once you get the hang of it, then you can be very mindful in your daily activities. That means you will immediately come back to your practice. So if you lost, you immediately know that, oops, I'm lost. So you are coming back, either through the breathing practice or through the Hwadu practice, whatever. So yeah, for the beginner, you tend to forget your practice during your daily activities. So in order to strengthen your power, go through the intensive practices over weekends. That's really. Pardon, sorry?
Can layman,
Uh-huh.
layman or woman, join that intensive course?
Of course, yes. There are many places nowadays. They offer the intensive courses. I know one place where they offer 7 nights and 8 days of practice every month. Right, that's about 8 to 10 hours of sitting. And also there are Vipassana places where they offer a week or weekend retreat. There are many places nowadays. You can join them. Yeah, whenever you can, go ahead and utilize those programs.
I live in Yongin.
Oh, you live in Yongin? I do too. Our school doesn't have the Zen meditation center. Our temple, 화운사, only has the Zen center for bhikkhuni snims. Not at the moment for the lay people, yeah. But we are planning to have the Zen center for lay people too. In the near Yongin, I don't think there's any place that lay people can go. But there are many places in Seoul, and some in Cheonan. If you look for it, there are many places. So if you are in the state where you forget your practices during your daily activities, that means you require to do more intensive practices, okay? So once you get the hang of it and you can utilize every moment, then you can practice in any other places or at any time.
Any other questions?
Oh, I was going to go through more things, but I spent so much time on the Four Noble Truths, sorry. Is it time for the question and answers?
Yes.
Oh. Any questions? Sorry, I couldn't give you more. Yes?
It might not be tied to what you spoke to about earlier, but just with dealing with fear,
Yes?
I feel like we go through periods of really harmonious, stability and everything, and then there's days where you just have this fear, what will happen, if you'll succeed at whatever it is that you're doing at the moment. But we don't have control of yesterday or tomorrow or 5 minutes from now, just now.
Right, right.
And I want to have like a better understanding of fear so I can work with it better. If that makes sense.
Yeah, well, fear comes from, that one also comes from your desire.
Yeah. But it's hard.
Did you know that?
Yeah, but what if the desire is a desire that it's not really innately mine, it's just society, like you must succeed or like have to do something. It's not really a desire to eat something or take something from someone else in that way, that type of desire. It's just a desire to meet expectations.
Right, right.
And I want to do that. There's got to be a good way to get there
Without fear.
Yeah, without feeling.
Well, as I said, since you know the cause of it, that is your desire to meet the expectation of the others or the expectation of the society, that what you should do is put right effort, and that's it, no more. You should not put any other things on top of it. What you should do is just put the right effort to the expectation or whatever the goal that you have. That's it. No more. There should be just the right effort and no other things. That's good enough.
Right. I like what you said about I'm really hard on myself, and I like what you said about stopping. Like, okay, maybe you didn't get the result you were hoping to have for that point, but I keep going, and I start, being really negative about myself.
Right. If you are overly desired, if you have excessive of desire, then it turns against to yourself. It makes you be more negative and have fear, right? So the limit that you should go is just do whatever you need to do, and that's it. That's good enough. No more. There's no need to judge that what would the others think of me. There's no need for that, because if you have for that, that's it, no more. You know, you should know how to correct to yield the right results that you want. That's it. No more. What I'm saying is no more is there's no need to think of that I haven't done right effort. That's it. That's the limit. But what you need, what you are tended to do is you're going over and saying, I'm so stupid. I haven't done right. I haven't, you know, put the right effort, and I haven't done hard enough. I haven't been hard enough. So such negative, negative judgment is not necessary. What you need to do is do the right effort, and whatever the result is, accept it. If the result is not the one that you have expected, then you should correct. Do whatever you have, should do, and then see what the results are. That's it. So there is only right effort at this moment. Okay? That's all you need. So fear comes from also desire. The desire that you may fail. Desire that you want to achieve, but you having fear, you may not achieve that goal. So no need to fear about it, but just put right effort. Right? Any other question? Did you get what I have said? Did it make sense?
Okay, now right here, it's time to end the first part. Then we have four great vows to recite. Then after that we make a circle, and have another discussion part. Okay.
Okay, so question and answers will be taking place afterwards?
Yeah.
Okay.